Are you someone who is in a caring profession, an INFJ or an empath? Or maybe you're even all three of them? Oh, hello, that's me. When I talk about caring professions, I'm talking about the counsellors, social workers, community workers, disability support officers, nurses, occupational therapists, paramedics, or in some cases, even a police officer.
What do you think I'm doing?
As a counsellor for INFJs, I actually have many clients who are in these caring roles because, well, an INFJ is naturally drawn to these caring professions. And something that is a common problem for people who are in these positions is dealing with vicarious trauma. It kinda comes with the job. Let's talk all about it, what it is, the warning signs that you might be going through it, and how you can prevent or overcome vicarious trauma. Because we need you to be healthy, safe, and in your best possible state so that you can continue to care for others and leave a positive impact on this world. What is vicarious trauma? Vicarious trauma, or secondary trauma, can be described as an indirect exposure to a traumatic event through a first-hand account or narrative of that event. Sometimes for a person in a caring role, hearing these traumatic events day after day after day can become overwhelming. And in some ways, it can lead the person to feel the same feelings faced by the trauma survivor in their care. It's like you almost absorb into your being what they have gone through. This can lead to compassion fatigue or burnout, which is basically when you feel that overwhelming sense of emotional and physical fatigue from being in a helping role without having adequate self-care time for yourself. For me, I have been working in the community since like 2003, working in homelessness and youth shelters to youth detention centres and foster care and child protection. I'm no stranger to vicarious trauma, especially in my younger years when I was still quite fresh in the field and I really took on the burden of others. There was a time in my career when I experienced this vicarious trauma. After hearing day after day the most horrific stories, like I'm talking horrific, and I didn't notice the signs that I was experiencing vicarious trauma. I got to a point where I was so burnt out that as I drove into my work car park, I would begin to have panic attacks and an overwhelming sense of anxiety. I remember when I was trying to leave this particular job because of this trauma, and I was sitting in a job interview for a local government role. The person asked me why I wanted to leave my current job and take this one on, which was more of a project development work within the youth sector, but not working directly with young people. I can't believe this. I actually broke down into tears in my job interview and blurted out how my work colleague the night before was and how I just couldn't go back. Super professional, hey? And yes, I got the job. What are the symptoms of vicarious trauma? How do you know if you're approaching it or actually going through it? First, there are the emotional symptoms. I'm talking feelings of grief, anxiety or sadness, becoming irritable or angry, getting distracted, changes in your overall mood or humor, and the beginning of hypervigilance. For me, in that particular incident, I found myself constantly counting cutlery in my home. It was a requirement on the job that I was in, but it merged into my home life too. There's behavioral symptoms. This might look like isolation, increase in alcohol or substance use, changes in your eating habits, having trouble falling asleep, engaging in more risky behavior, or even pushing your friends and family away. I'm not answering this. There's the physical symptoms. That's having more headaches, rashes, ulcers, stomach aches, picking up every cold and flu known to mankind, or just your overall physical well-being being completely down in the toilet. Cognitive symptoms. This could be becoming more cynical and negative. And oh my gosh, as a youth worker, if you gave me $1 for every cynical and negative worker I have come across, I would be really rich. Not being able to switch off from thinking about your client's trauma or the trauma that you've seen, having trouble concentrating, or even, sadly, just not caring about people anymore. I don't give a shit. There's the spiritual symptoms. Losing that feeling of hope, that sense of hope, that sense that this world can be a beautiful place. Losing sight of your purpose, your vision, your values. Feeling disconnected from others or the overall world. And even feelings of being unworthy or not deserving of love. Someone going through vicarious trauma may not necessarily experience all of these symptoms. It might just be some of them, or even just the lead up to vicarious trauma. It's important to take note and have self-awareness in case you are going through this and approaching burnout. You don't want to leave these symptoms unchecked, because if you do, it could lead to something far more serious. What can we do about it? How can we prevent vicarious trauma? Or if you're going through it, actually deal with it? Well, of course, I'm a counsellor. I'm going to recommend counselling. In fact, you might not know this, but part of our requirements in being a counsellor, so that we don't get vicarious trauma, is having regular supervision, which is a space for us basically to have therapy about our therapy. It's one way that we personally look after ourselves so that we don't carry the load of everybody else. But I do know that if you're in another type of caring role, counselling might not be part of the job. It's something that you might need to look into for yourself so that you can have this space to offload, to share what's been going on, and to get things off your chest that has been bothering you about your clients or patients. I actually offer this as a counselling service because I have worked in the community for so long and I see the importance of this. I know what it's like and how you need to talk to someone who gets it, who's been there in the field, because unless you've been there, it's really hard to understand or comprehend. It's important that you make self-care part of your job. I see self-care to be something that I have to do to be an effective counsellor. I love journaling, Muay Thai boxing, swimming, going to the beach, reading a good book, playing Zelda on the Switch. All of these things are relaxing for me. What's relaxing for you? What makes you feel good? What brings you joy that is outside of your work? And learning boundaries. I had to learn that the hard way. It breaks my heart when I meet empathetic, beautiful people who I think would be fantastic in a caring job, but they tell me that they can't do it because it hurts too much to hear other people's stories. I get it, fair call. But this is a skill that you can learn. You can learn to leave your work at work. You can learn to be empathetic in the moment while you are with a client and be fully present with them and fully open and just fully there for them, but to then switch off and leave it at the door when you go back into your personal life. It's a requirement. Learning boundaries is so effective and beneficial to your mental health. Beautiful humans, please look after yourself. The world needs you. You have something incredible to give. But if you're not looking after yourself, then the world is missing out. I'm giving you 2 options from here, dependent on where you want to go. So, choose your own adventure. If you want to learn more about healthy boundaries and what they look like, then I recommend you watch the top video. We dive right into it right there. Or if you want to explore the idea of compassion fatigue more and meet my beautiful Emma from the Carers Club, then give the bottom video a click. And I'll see you there, whichever video that is.